Hello, everybody. Tanya with Adventures for Connection and Norma with us again. We're so excited to share with you today a little more about frequency, energy, and how your heart is much more than a pump that pumps blood. Yeah, your heart is like a energy vortex. It's actually what operates you, your entire energetic system, and we're so much more than what we can perceive with these eyes. Yeah, add to that, Norma. How you doing today?
Awesome. How about you, Tanya?
Awesome sauce.
Awesome. It's fluid.
Vibing high.
Oh yeah, high as a kite.
What would you like to add about the heart vortex?
It's it's something that as we grew up in this this world we were born into, to understand the concepts that we were limited in our ability to see something fully for what it is was so apparent, especially when you begin to put things together that have always been there but never really grasped the understanding of how to put it all together, until over time. So it's I hope that with this presentation I can bring out the more depthness to the human itself with your assistance, where places I may forget to not get so deep into what it is I'll be trying to explain. But it's beautiful because we are so much more, and it's a beautiful experience when you come to understand that at level. You truly come to understand that life isn't what it seems. However, it can be what it is you can create from it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're creator beings. So let's remind everyone of that. So every second, every millisecond, you are creating. You're creating with your thoughts, your words, and your actions and your energy, because just like your cell phone goes to a tower to get a signal, you've got that capacity, right, to connect that way with the collective consciousness, with source. And when we are in our vibration and we're vibrating really well, we send that out, and law of resonance, it comes back to us. And so the more you send things out in a positive, loving, kind, high vibrational state, the more of that comes back to you. The more frustrated, angry, fearful, the more of that comes back to you. And whatever you're watching with your eyes greatly also affects your experience. And so we just encourage you to, get out in nature. And then also you've got your body with your microbiome, and your microbiome is your second brain. Your gut is your second brain. I like to think the heart is the first one. Yeah, I prefer to operate. If I run everything through my heart, and what would love do about this, then it greatly shifts. So, but you can cause anxiety, depression, and ailments within the body, dis-ease, by what you put into it to fuel it. So I literally look at what I'm putting in as fuel for my body. And I'm not saying that I don't have popcorn or some dark chocolate once in a while, or go off the rails completely once in a while. I do, but it never leaves me feeling that good. I have to be cautious, because you're like, oh yeah, I remember, right? So
Moderation.
yeah, absolutely. And so for example, today I had chia seeds that I make with coconut milk, and I put a little lemon juice and I leave them overnight in the fridge. And then I like my methylene blue, so I add that. I add my greens. I add my other supplements, has some hemp seeds, some raspberries, some sunflower seeds, because that's good for the pineal gland, as well as these little cute oat things that are like whole grain stuff that have no wheat in them. So yeah, and I mix it up with some hot water, and Bob's your uncle, so to speak. And Norma's like, what are you eating? Because it's like this teal blue color. But not too bad on the tongue, as if I put the methylene blue under my tongue. So yeah, pretty funny. So yeah. We want you guys to definitely ask questions. So we're going to go through this presentation, and it expands on what we were talking about with how we perceive our reality. And that as you raise your vibration, you get new perceptions. Things vibrate out of your reality. People vibrate out of your reality. They're no longer in your awareness. And as we go through what I like to like the infinity symbol, things loop around, and we were talking about that too. Everything's a loop, and depending on where the collective consciousness is at that loop, some things repeat because they're hanging on to it. So some are hanging on to a particular story. And this storyline around a particular virus is coming back through, but it's not going to happen because the bigger collective is like, oh no, we're done with that. So there's no point in wasting any energy on that whatsoever. So this is where we would like you guys to start shifting yourselves, and we're here to help you. Okay. So any questions you have at all is really good. So Cal says, thank you for your help yesterday with the video I sent you. Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Starting to see energies, not unlike you, Norma, where seeing things in the trees and right. And just perceiving differently with these eyes, or having a different reflection out of these eyes. Yeah. And Chen Girl, wow, I'm a sunflower seed addict. Best if they're raw. Sorry. I do eat spits. They're my road trip food because if I need something to focus on, so I pay attention to driving, because sometimes I can find it a bit tiring, I will eat spits. And everyone laughs at me because I eat spits on road trips, and that's just the way it is.
No, I do the same thing. They're simple, it's easy, I'm the same way. I do sunflower seeds if I'm traveling, because it's a good just something just to keep on your stomach, where you can just keep going if you need to and not feel tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So beautiful. Thank you all for joining us, and looking really forward to this. So, how can I help my cortisol levels when triggered by a narcissist? Be the observer. Be the observer of those actions. And what are you being, when you're being triggered, what are you being triggered about? What do you need to look at within yourself that's allowing that trigger to happen? Not always easy. Trust me. I've been through it. I am aware of that one on a very big scale, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, not alone. Most of us, I'd be surprised if somebody doesn't know one, to be honest. So, and taking time for you, go take a break, get out. Yeah, your heart rate goes nuts. Yeah, absolutely, because it's feeling threatened. So what do you need to do to shift that? And I can say what greatly helped me too was the whole Ho'oponopono prayer, and breaking away. Like, I got to go do this right now. And make sure you're doing something for yourself, getting out in nature, listening to the Ho'oponopono prayer and following through with it. It's more about forgiving yourself than anything else, but it shifts the energy around it. And I've seen quite a few people shift people out of their lives, shift situations, shift neighbors by following that prayer. So it's the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian prayer. And I got it down pat.
Very nice.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's jump right in. Yeah.
Ready to go?
I am. I've just got to pull the brand off, because otherwise it screws it up. And then I'll drop us in. And there you go. You're live.
All right.
Perfect. Take it away.
All right. So what I'm going to do is as I go through this, I'm going to do general presentation here. I'm just going to cover Frank Chester, who has actually brought me to this understanding where he took geometry to understand the heart in a different frame of perspective or perception. And that's the great thing about knowing the tools and the modalities that are out there to be able to broaden your understanding of what the body is, in order to even actually understand the creation that we live within, because it's all a mathematical formulation through sacred geometry. So, what the beautiful thing about this is we all know that when it comes to the fetus and how it begins to form within the womb, the very first organ that is formed is the heart, which creates the cardiovascular system. So when we look at the heart and we see it where it shows that it says it's 4 chambers, do we know for sure that as it's forming, is it really a chamber like when it begins? But how does it begin also? So that takes you deeper into a more open-mindedness of asking, show me what I don't know. And this was, you know, that one little rabbit hole that I went down, and what I was given was actually very beautiful in the understanding that we are created so much more from something that has a deeper meaning to it. So what I did was I came across this gentleman, Frank Chester, who was mentioned through another source that I was watching. So the one thing I want to be able to do right first is help you understand sacred geometry. And how it begins is when source wanted to experience itself, it was just a dot. And from that dot, when it wanted to separate itself to find a balance, it used 2 circles to do this with, which in turn, once it done that, then of course you had the 2. And it's one of those, as I explain this, I'll explain it in terms that you'll be able to understand. So this is where the dueling aspects of the source came from: the male, the female, the right, the left, the so forth and so on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened is when that took place, it created this and this is the hard part, Pisces, which in turn, when it done this is basically what you would call the center point of creation of the 2 that creates the matterment of the 1, which is the offspring that comes from this sacred geometric beginning. And every cell begins from this. And within that cell becomes, in the center of it, a creation, okay? Which in turn, you get the golden ratio because there has to be a balance. So everything that is created in life is created from this aspect of the Visca Pisces, which creates a balance through the golden ratio of the 1.618. And it's a beautiful process. I'm not going to go much into sacred geometry. If you want a little more, I would suggest just going to YouTube or, following somebody that can give you a little bit of deeper understanding, because this can get deep and we don't want to get too deep into this.
Yeah. Let me go back, please. I want to add to this.
Sure.
So you guys, this is how cells divide. So this is how the universe divides and creates. This
Everything.
is as above, so below, as within, so without. So this is the creation point of absolutely everything. So this is really important to realize this, because it is all based on sacred geometry. We do all have this within us. We have a universe within us. And so this is just part of that. So what I want you to really pay attention to, and we'll come back to this if we need to, is in the centers, how we have the diagonal lines that you can see there. Yeah, because watch what happens next. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and also just to go off of that, this is what you would also consider your four corners. Just like the information we've been putting out about understanding, you know, multidimensionality, that we're multidimensional.
Yeah.
So this also plays into that as well, and understanding that it's not linear, it's multidimensional. So yeah, beautiful.
Which
So
means time is really not linear like we've been led to believe.
no,
Just to put it out there as well, and we can certainly chat about that at some point.
oh yeah. So as you go along, and you if you want to understand more about the Vesica Piscis, please be my guest, because what sacred geometry does, like I said, it's another tool to understand the things about this life that we're living, from different levels or a different perspective. And that's the beauty of using the many modalities and the tools that have been provided for us to be able to do this. That's the reason why we're sitting here right now and we're presenting this information, because we're coming into understanding that it isn't what it seems. So when you understand the Vesica Piscis, and it's the very beginning of the creativeness, then the one that becomes the two creates the one that matters. So, and that's how matterment comes into manifestation. And it, like I said, I don't want to get too deep in it because it gets very beautiful, because this is about understanding that the heart, why it's the first organ to be created. So Francesca, he decided, I think he said he's been doing this a little over 20 years, that to use sacred geometry, he began to form these shapes of the five, yeah, okay. My head just went blank. It's the five platonics, which is from sacred geometry, which comes from the Vesica Piscis. When you begin to go into let's see, when you start to go into, you know, the circle of life, the creation of life, seed of life, so forth and so on. And this is how you come all the way to the flower of life and beyond, as to how you use sacred geometry, as to how things become. So when he done this, when he created these shapes, he decided that he was going to use soap water to dip them in, and then he would take a straw and he blew into the straw so that the bubble would create the shape of the platonic solid he's using here to understand the shape of the heart. And I found that quite interesting, that when he done that, he created a mold. And in that mold, he created the chambers of the heart, or the two that have the four chambers within them. And as he's doing this, he delved even further into sacred geometry and came to find that you can actually put a cone within those shapes, because of how the heart is shaped from bottom to top, because both of the openings of the heart is at the top. And as he was doing this, he came to find out that the sacred geometry of the heart with the cones was actually a vortex in the way that the heart functions. So when you understand what a vortex is an energy source that can be utilized from a place that you sit in, that you can send out, or you can, you know, it can, it's like a breathing in and a breathing out. It's an expansion.
You
It's
can gather, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can gather it in.
Right.
And he even did, when he looked at all the original x-rays where they came up with the shape of the heart to help him get to this point. So he used some traditional methods, but said, well, that's not quite right, because this is what I see. And then he proved it. So that's
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's the beauty of the sacred geometry that he's using, is that he was able to create the shapes of the proof that he was able to perceive the heart in a different perspective. And that's what's so beautiful about this.
Yeah.
And so what he did was, when he found this out, he decided, okay, so I need to go a little further into this and create the art that matches the geometry of what it is that they see. So in this, he sat down with this large piece of paper, and this is at 22 degrees, that he started creating this vortex, because the myocarditis, or the myocardium that basically is around the heart, goes in a vortex. And what it does is it goes in that vortex, but what happens is eventually it goes in the opposite direction. So using the pine cone as a as something to use for that understanding, the pine cone is at 813. So you got 13 spirals that go in one direction, yet you have 8 that go in the next direction. And this is just the natural way that life creates and becomes. So as he was doing this with the paper, what he came to understand was it took the 2 circles to create the vortex, where in the center it actually levels out when it's going in one direction. As it levels out, then it starts to spin in the opposite direction. And that's where the sacred geometry really started proving his perspective and perception of the heart and its function. And that's the reason why that the vortex became a visual, because of the math that he used to be able to prove and show that the heart in its function is more than just the ability to pump. Okay, it does do that, but when you understand it on the level of the mathematics, then it becomes even that much more experiential in the understanding that a vortex also creates a different way of the function of the heart. And so as we are looking at this, when he was showing that how the heart pumps, whenever you're looking at a picture and you see in the heart pump, the one place you only see the heart pumping from is from the bottom. So what it's doing is basically doing this, because the concept of the vortex is what's moving the heart and the fluid within the heart that creates the pump. And what it's doing is it's because of the way the vortex is working. And yeah. So it was like so beautiful in the way that he presented this information. And like I said, I'm not going to go deep into it, because I had put that up on Telegram for the ones who wanted to watch. It's still there. You can go back and you can watch this if you'd like to get a deeper understanding. So this is where the 2 chambers of the heart were separated, or the 2 the 2 muscles are separated, because you got one that's intake and one that's outtake. You got your red blood cells that are oxygenated, and then the chamber that takes in the heart that is non-oxygenated. So, and all he's showing is the math of the 2 chambers. He actually uses a slinky as a way, because even when you're using a slinky and you put the 2 together, they become a toroidal. It's a torus. But what happens is when you separate it and it's like this, and the 2 parts of the slinky are together, this is the concept he is able to prove and provide for the two functions of the heart and how it works. So in this is the top down of the heart as it's in your chest. And do know, for the longest time, they taught that the heart was to the left. It was never to the left. It was always in the center. Your heart resides in the center of your chest. It has to, because with the sacred geometry, there has to be balance. nature is about balance. So, and I'm just showing this so that way you just have a general clue and idea as to, you know, how this, because this is the myocardium that surrounds the heart, which is just kind of like a, if you want to look at it in a deeper, it's a mesh, it's a grid system in of its own. So it plays a role in how the heart functions on the level of the vortex, and in the understanding of how a vortex works. So in this,
take a small break. Let's just take that was awesome. Well done. That was perfect, honestly. Yeah. So Lady Caroline, you two explained this very well. Thank you very much. So yeah, so you know, everything we've been told is not necessarily all true. Are we surprised? So this information is super beautiful, but most people still don't know about it. And I know I get it. People are really distracted at the moment, but the more you start to realize that, you know, it's operating on its own and it's doing this, the muscles that mesh on the outside is basically like a massage for the heart constantly to move the direction up and down. And you can start to focus on that. And you can start to play with it because the heart does expand up to 5,000 times its size out. So when people say, oh, you have a huge heart, well, it's more of an energetic feeling, in my opinion, than anything else. And also, you know, being a person who can observe without absorbing and witness without reacting. And really, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about holding space, is to be a good listener, to just sit in that resonance of love. And that's what it means to hold space, to vibrate that out. So no matter who's in your field, they are asked to raise to your vibration. They will automatically, the oversoul, the higher self, whatever, is going to go, oh yeah, that's what we want to feel like. And they're going to help your body do that. Now, this can cause you to be a bit tired. This can cause you to have tons of energy. People react differently. But as your body's doing that, this is why I say, I don't heal people. I show your body to come to this resonance. And over time, but it's up to you individually to maintain that resonance. Yes. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Is there any questions or anything before?
No, just that we explained it. Oh, one question from Deline. Does the vortex create plasma too to push the fluids?
Well, plasma runs throughout our body.
Doesn't create it though. Plasma's there. Plasma's used, but it's not that the heart creates the plasma. And it's not, so it's that outer mesh that's push the fluids, which is
right.
blood in there. Yeah.
Well, we also got to look at that. Even though the heart is the very first organ created, and is created from the geometry of what I've explained here of a vortex, it has to become. So it's like the Pisces viscous that I was talking about. It creates everything. Okay, it creates the lungs. It creates the pancreas. It creates the kidneys. All of it is created through that process. Okay, all the organs. And like I said, I can get further into the Pisces viscous. Yeah, but it gets really deep when you wanted to get into that. So, but when you come to understand sacred geometry in the body, sacred geometry in life, and you understand that it's a beautiful fluid flow of becoming, of creation, it's so profound in what it is that we see out here. And it becomes even much more profound when you understand your ability to manifest from that understanding. And so with the heart, what's beautiful about it is that because it is a vortex, it is a vortex of energy. It emanates from the center of us. So when we came in here, they wanted to teach us that the brain is the, you know, the mind, it's the consciousness. And it's not. The brain actually is more of a subconscious level because it can only perceive to a certain degree from what it sees. So it's limited. So that's the reason why when we say to get into the heart of every matter, I literally mean that, because the heart is what assists us in becoming more connected to our consciousness, which can flow through us from that higher perspective, because it's able to show us things that we cannot see through the human eyes. And so in that, what happens is the more we make contact or make connection with our consciousness, then what it does is it begins to flow through us, which in turn, eventually, as we go from what we're being given, because we're willing to ask, show me what I don't know, then you begin to connect with the third eye activation, because then you are open to life showing you, your soul showing you what this reality really is. So that's the beautiful thing about getting back heart-centered, because even when I was learning and gathering this information just for the knowledge of it, for a deeper understanding, because it was being given to me, and anything that is presented to me, I feel is given to me to help me in my understanding. That when I was looking at and gathering what we've talked about in the last 4 to 5 weeks, and all that coming together for me, helped me to understand even more depthness for self, the truth of the matter of manifestating or manifestations. And so when we look at the longitude and latitudinal positioning of the 4 corners, which is basically a circular, because it's a circumference and it's always moving, it's always going around, and in that we are in that longitudinal and latitudinal place. No matter where we're at, it just tells us a reference point. As long as we get out of that linear and we're willing to, ask those important questions to take ourselves out of the brain function, the brain mind function, and get to the heart of it, then you will begin to perceive things differently because of what you're given. So the nugget I came into is when you're in that heart center and you want to manifest, when you're sitting in there and you're having that image of the creation of the experience you want to have, then what happens is you start having these feelings that start that are showing up, that helps to be more defined in that creation that you're wanting to experience. And the more you sit in that, then what you're doing is you're creating a heartfelt experience of a manifestation from just sitting in it and letting that vortex begin to go faster. And when you understand sacred geometry, mandalas, or geometric shapes, what happens is when you understand that vortex is actually sitting there. And as you're sitting in those feelings that you're having of excitement, bliss, and joy, guess what? That vortex is creating those geometric shapes, mandalas, that are equal to those feelings you're having about the creation of the manifestation you're wanting to experience. So what happens is when you're doing that, you're holding that for self because it's yours. And when you're doing that, you're not, when you understand the difference of the manifestation and what people's teaching, and what manifestation is when you hold it for self is you're not sending it out there in the way that you're not saving it for self. Because when you set it out there, you're fractalizing yourself. But when you hold it for self and you sit in that joy and you sit in that ultimate feeling that this vortex is creating for you, and it's creating those sacred geometric shapes, then what you're doing is you're exciting every bit of the cells and the DNA that's within you, because you're activating codes. You're awakening those cells and those DNA codings, and what you're doing is you're exciting those DNA, and that DNA is actually putting forth your ability to tell it, the cell, look, this is what I want to experience, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling great. And those cell goes, okay, not a problem. Let's do what we need to do to make sure that we make it to that manifesting experience. So when you are sitting in self and you're holding that experience for you from the heart center space, and you're creating those geometric shapes and mandalas, see, that's the beauty of this process, is when you come to understand that fully for how the process works together as one. Your body is sitting in that, and it's going, well, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we make it to this experience because it feels so great. So it's going to begin to heal you. So you see, sitting in your heart space and having that chance and opportunity to create those manifestations isn't just doing one thing, it's doing multiple things. So when you hold it, what you're saying is I want to experience this, and the cells are going, okay, not a problem. We'll get going and get started and make sure that this body is prepared for that experience. And to a degree, even though some of it goes out because you are a being that is electric and it's a thought, but it goes out there, it's not one of those that somebody else can grab a hold of because you've not released it at that level where that manifesting state. You don't send it out there because you're trying to get to it. You allow it to sit right here because it's creating it for you.
Boom. Well done. No, that was awesome. So we have one question here so far. Keep asking question, guys. If we're, you know, if you're not following or you have a question about something, please ask. Can we intensify or enlarge the toroidal field with a crystal wrapped in copper wire at the heart chakra? Oh yeah, 100%. Making sure you're keeping it positive. Right? So yeah, you absolutely could. That reminds me of my, right? So here's the crown I have too. So similar to that, I could just put it on like a necklace. And then that would pretty much sit, well, not quite, but we get the idea. So yeah, you can 100%. So always keeping in mind to keep that vibration high. So yeah, go for it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well done, Norma. That was really beautiful. And Gary Champ wants to add, so manifestation now is symbiotic, automatic with real-time intention. Yes. Everything is speeding up. Everything is speeding up for us. And it's like driving a car. You can get it from point A to point B without a full understanding of each component and onboard system and how it functions. So yes, even though you're not aware that you're manifesting every second, you are. And the heart has a great, it's got so much to do with your being, your avatar, and your soul as well. Yeah. So yeah,
it brings you back to that awareness state.
Yeah.
You see, the brain can't do that for you. All it knows to do is keep going. But the heart will always bring you back to a centerment of an awareness to know that I want to create these things, and know in that creation, I will experience them because it's yours. Hold on to that. Don't send it out there because that's you giving your energy away. You see, that's the funny thing in a way that I come to recognize as I was doing this was that they're telling you, oh, have this and create it and have the experience and send it out. No, it's your energy. Keep it. Hold on to it. That's what drives you to those experiences that you want to have because you're holding it in the proper place. And what happens is that the heart sits there and it stays there. Remain patient because it will come to fruition because you're holding it in the right spot, in the right space. You're centered with it. You're allowing it to guide you to this experience instead of thinking that the experience is out there waiting for you.
Hell no. This is why we keep saying everything you need is within you to manifest, to be, to create. We are creator beings. And Gary says exactly well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So does anyone have any other questions? All right.
Go ahead and just
Pop that out of there. That was
yes.
really well done. So just so you guys
Thank
all
you.
know, Norma's sent on task to create because she's really good at this. You're really good at gathering this together. It's really beautiful. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Yeah,
You're welcome.
that was absolutely stunning. Yeah, it
I
was.
just try not to trip over myself because my brain's going, so fast, and my mouth just can't keep up with it. And
No, you did great. That was
thank you.
perfect. Exactly what we needed to hear in this moment in time. So, and with that connection, yeah, see, Norma is awesome. See, with that connection of, getting the mind and the heart and letting the heart lead the mind. Well, now we're talking. Now we're in some new territory. Now, it's not hard to do, in my opinion, but you're going to have to readjust yourself as you go. We even readjust. Before this call today, I went to go have a napadation and ended up just meditating, but then 25 minutes was just gone and I thought it was 5. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah. And I've been really focusing on, and then I was in the void. I like to call it the void. The void within me, because I drop myself in and I'm always trying to drop in a little further. Like, what else do I need to know? What else do I need to know? And so I tend to get a ton of visuals. Generally, if I'm focusing behind the eyes, I get my eye right back at me like, yeah, we're watching you. And then if I focus more and more, I get some other experiences. So yeah, we encourage all of you to get into this heart space. And when I'm teaching you about running your energy this way, this is why, and then up and out. It's going to be doing that anyway. What you want it to be doing is doing it fluidly. Yeah. And also the meditation that we were doing that had you building the circle around your body as well. Now that one's really good for clearing your field, which also helps because you'll have less hindrance per se. So all these little things kind of add up, and as you put the pieces together. So what I am going to do this week is go back to basics and do some really short clips and put them up on YouTube and Rumble and in the New Adventures for Connection channel on Telegram, which I will post the videos into the chat. But the chat, I've got so many people that are like, I can't even go in there. It's too busy. So I really just want to give a line of the notes and the videos we do and have that all in there. So thank you, 17Q. Thank you, T. Krill. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Mighty Mouse. Yeah, we really appreciate that. That's awesome. In a brave new world of creation, I'm riding behind Norman Jean's flow. That's what I said too. Let's go. Yeah. Are you coming on our caravan convoy? We're gonna have a convoy. I'm gonna have a convoy. Is that you? Get a little music going. That's okay. She disappears into thin air. Wow, that's magical, huh? So who has some questions, even questions for things for the rod today? Anybody has any questions? That's the other thing I'm getting asked to do more videos on. It's my #1 saved video on TikTok is about the rod. So I'm like, I'm paying attention. I'm even wearing this shirt and I was like, oh yeah, I should do more of that. They like it. So people are just starting to realize that if everything is energy, then right, we can utilize tools to help us, and body dosing, right? And there's so many things you can do, but we always go back to those basics of feeding and fueling your body and getting your rest, get the nutrients in there, get out in nature, swim in fresh water. All these things, like the beach is like one of my favorite spots because I love the sand. I love because we're electromagnetic beings. The sand is like, That's why everyone loves going. Well, people who love the beach because it's that charge for them. It feels good, and it can be very relaxing as well. So that's why kids love it. So, all right. Now, does anyone have any questions or want us to go back and show any of the slides again? Is the goal to work on, yeah, so the goal, so Delene's asking, is it a goal to work on lengthiness or time, length of time to hold the heart space? You don't want to be doing that full time as much as possible. And every time you're not, come back to it. So it would be more to operate that way full time would be the desire. Yeah. Ah, my son had a black mole for 3 days and then it was gone. Any thoughts? Well, his body healed it. Yeah. You know, this is how quickly things can change. Yeah. So okay, let's talk about yesterday. Let's talk about the 8-8. Norma, do you want to drop into that little bit? And I'm just going to take this off if I can. There we go.
Yeah. From what I gathered from the sources that I utilize to understand, some of what is coming or what may be transpiring and taking place, there's just so many different energies around yesterday and today. Yeah. As to, people talking about, these portals, and you got the equinox coming up and all these important dates in September. But what September basically is it's almost like the collective is coming in for a level of things to go through. And it's either people are going to experience it in a way that is from a perspective of observation, or you're going to have ones that are just going to be in it, and they're going to be experiencing not so good situations and people and things like that. So a lot of this right now is still that struggle of the the push and the pull of what's going on with these timelines that are running right beside each other. So that's the reason why it's always good to be in your heart space, because you get to come from that place of observation and witness just the bigger picture of the beauty of the process that's taking place. For me, everything that I am experiencing is beautiful. It's beautiful because I see its purpose. I see its meaning. And no matter what is being presented to me, it doesn't mean that it's real. Yeah. And it's about where we place our focus. It's about where we place our focus as to how real we experience anything that is given on that visual or that audible level. Because you got to remember, we're coming from the 5 human senses. And it's at that level where we are still adjusting to the perspective of coming from it at that observational level and seeing it for what it is. Is it real? Can we say that it's real? There are certain things that may be going on that present themselves as real, but that's only because of the focus of the energy of the individuals that are putting it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And so it's the whole escaping the matrix, I'll say, is to get out of here and start to connect here all the way down. You have 320, how much?
355.
355. Thank you. I couldn't remember the number. I was like, am I doing a 323 on myself? 355 sensories within the body, way more than the 5 senses. And get to know those. Get to know those. Absolutely. Get to know, just run your consciousness through your body. So before I go to sleep and when I wake up, I literally just run my awareness through my body to the tips of my fingers. Like even right now, I can feel the energy in my fingers. My fingertips are always like, it's like I could shoot lasers. We're spider webs.
I'd have to see if that would be good or. Yeah, that would be very experiential there, Tanya. I'm just saying.
Well, if I could put the spider webs on all the areas where the spiders are coming in my house, then maybe I could keep them out.
There's that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's also known as the 777 because of the way the numbers add up. And if you think about the seven's always been my number, born August 7th, 1970, seven has just been my number. Seven is all about Egypt. Seven is all about the creator. It's like a really good number just to be aware of. And it doesn't, you don't have to like hang on to them or anything, but seven's just always meant a lot for me because it just has. And so we all have kind of our own numbers that work. 9 is also an important number for me because it's my creator number. It's my numbers. The total of my numbers is 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that can be important as well it actually describes who you are. If nobody's done numerology, I highly recommend checking out the numerology. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to get to some questions here. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, the energy is mine for the using, says Gary.
It is.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. That's right. Okay. Does the portal open on Earth at the same time or in time zones? It'll be the same time, and we're using the time that we're in. So most of these reports are coming in from North America. That's my understanding. Norma, would you agree?
Sure. Because you have to give me a little more definition as to what you're speaking of.
Okay, we're talking about the portals being open. So today's the 9/9 portal, for example, but it's the 10th in Australia. So the portal doesn't.
Okay.
Doesn't rotate. Sorry, it's in the chat, and I forgot to mention that.
Okay. I was like, sure.
You got contacts. You're out. So the portal doesn't rotate the way that we're told the sun and the moon do. So I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into portals, are they really actually something that's in time? Maybe they're just something that exists within us. So there's that.
Yeah.
It's all about your focus and where you're putting it as to your understanding of where you're coming from as to how you're perceiving any event.
Yeah. I get that your husband's good, Lady Caroline. So your husband's okay. Yeah. So it's something about on the side of the road, but nothing's wrong. So maybe he's helping someone or he's stopped to eat or nap, right? Because when you're on a long road trip, sometimes napadation is required to keep going. Yeah. Where's the heart chakra of the earth? That would be Maui. Yep, absolutely. And everything I think is going to shift too, because the earth has the whole system, but right now we're witnessing some of the floods and some of the earthquakes happening. This is Earth going, yeah, I'm stretching like she's pregnant and getting stretch marks. She's pushing out to create new energy systems and new energy lines because so many of them have been stopped. So if we're not going to do it, she's going to do it, and she's not waiting for us.
No.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And given the information from my understanding, she's expanding, and what's happening is because of the many belief systems and the things that that us as a human species have come to understand that in our movement, a lot of what's taking place right now is what's catching up to us, because Gaia is basically has already gone through this, but on the 3D human level to this, we're just now experiencing our creative focus of the things that we put belief systems into. So, like I said, we can talk about portals today, but are we going from the Gregorian? Or are we coming from the Julian?
Well, and that's just it too. So if I can't know it, see it, feel it, touch it, I don't put a ton of weight on any of it. Right. I go, how do I feel right now?
Right.
So
just about your daily Yeah, it's about how are you feeling daily when you arise.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be the most important thing for you to understand what your experiences are telling you, showing you, because it's telling you and it's showing you every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're the observer out in the world, so the other, was it Thursday, I think, I was driving from job site to job site and checking on jobs and making sure things were going well. And I swear every time I left a job or I was coming into one, a bird would fly literally 90 degrees over me and across. And I just kept getting, yes, go. Because I was thinking about some other things and I was getting that message. And then also there was two clouds fist bumping as I was heading over the bridge and I was laughing so hard about it. Uh, so yeah, it's
The
pretty
synchronicities
interesting.
and confirmations, and that's what you're
Yeah.
looking for. That's
Yeah.
what you're looking for, because it will tell you. That's the beauty about this. Wherever your heart centered and you're focused, and you've allowed the will to place in the hands of focus, and you're being guided by that, that guidance is going to show you, and it may be subtle at first, but if you begin to pay more and more attention, those synchronicities and those confirmations and the things that you're allowing yourself to be led to is going to show up more and more and more and quicker and quicker and quicker, because there's not a time that as I'm experiencing that those things are not showing up like this for me.
Right. Absolutely. Like if you're looking for a sign will show up. Right? And it's how much, right? And 17 Kyo, oh my God, I have birds fly towards me in the truck too. I naturally duck and say hello, I love you. Thank you for not smacking into my windshield. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It could be a song that comes on the radio that's relevant. It could be a video. Like Norma and I are very prone to these videos, and we know which ones we need to share. And a lot of them are, I would say, harder to explain than what we just explained. But as we come into embracing them and learning them ourselves and being able to share them in a different way, we will definitely continue to share. So if we're on the right track, let us know. Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I also wanted to mention that if anybody's in BC, we've got Vedette Lake coming up next weekend. Reach out to me for a special price if you would like to come and join us. Vedette Lake's in the interior of BC, and we have a vortex of energy there. So not unlike the Earth, but it's a vortex of energy that comes from these ley lines. So, and you can really feel it when you're there. Yeah, and yeah, we're getting yes, some more of this. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, anybody that wants to join at Vedette Lake, just message me. So all you have to do is look up my name. You'll find me 1,000 ways. Yeah. I've had this business for quite a while and I've been publicly speaking for a while too. So I've got a few things out there. What else did we want to share today? What other energy? Oh, is it current energy updates? So what I've been feeling for the past 2 days, for example, well, I've been told to rest more. And the reason for that is because I was working really hard to close the exterior painting season. Plus, I've got Serafina, who's leading Egypt with me in October, and she's working on my Akashic right now and cleaning out anything else. And all she's told me is all the ways I've died. I'm like, great. I'm not afraid of that. Not afraid of that. So that's good to not have the fear, because often if you've died, like say by drowning, so apparently I was rope tied up and put underwater and died that way. And I'm like, well, it's a good thing I'm not afraid of water. So I don't put a lot of attachment on it because I didn't experience it for myself, and a lot around my neck. I think I've been murdered by shutting me up so many times because I
I've been
speak in my
decapitated, so
voice. Yeah, yeah. Which is why I think, sometimes it takes time for us to get out in public and speak this way or say what we truly believe, because you have to sit with it for a while to, okay, well, how's everyone going to take this? And now I don't care at all. So, yeah,
nope.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Serafina and I will be doing Egypt. If you want to purge and elevate all in a week, that's what we'll be doing.
I'm
And
there.
Norma's coming too. Norma will be with
Yep.
us too. Privates in the pyramid, private in the Sphinx, and yeah, and just like Mexico, it's a bit of bartering there, but we've got somebody to protect us while we're there. So Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to, if you don't have, highest love and light to both you ladies. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. If you guys don't have any more questions right now, any topics you want to discuss, let me know. And we will tag him here at the end. Otherwise, we are fixing to go on a road trip. We don't get back from Egypt area. So there's Jordan there. There's a few places I definitely want to get to. And we'll be fixing to get back here around November 12th. And November 12th, like that month here in Vancouver, it's very cleansing month, let's just say. Yes, it can be quite rainy. And because I'm on the side of a mountain, the clouds come along and kind of cling onto the mountain. So yeah, I won't be staying too long. So the goal is actually to get in vehicles and head south and start discussing circles in places, sound baths, energy circles, discussion circles. And so, yes, we'll be streaming there while we can. I think the catch right now is I might have to change the time because the time's not conducive. In Egypt, it's a completely different, it's way off. So I have to have a look. Yeah, I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. to do lives. Yeah, so we definitely will, and we'll put up a schedule around that once we land and we figure it out. I'll probably take the 1 week off, and then as I'm intense with the retreat, and then as we do a wrap up, and then we'll share all kinds of videos and stuff too. Yeah, absolutely. What about gemstones? What do we need to say about opals or diamonds? Whatever you're called to. Egypt's not too hot. There's always a breeze, actually. I find it quite beautiful. So it depends on what you are called to with the crystals. Just remember that crystals grow. So they are alive, so to speak, right? They do have energy that they give off, which is why the clear quartz crystal wrapped in the copper can help, right? Can help direct. That's why I put it here when I'm wearing it, although I scratched my forehead a bit with it to begin. Of course. Yes, you can laugh, smartass.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's 12 a.m. there. Yeah. So I'll find times that are more conducive. And we'll see what happens. And T. Creel says kind of like a whiplash effect is coming back around the human conscious. Kind of like that. More like a coil. Yeah. And the collective consciousness is pulled along with it, right? Because we're all connected. But I can tell you right now, the bigger collective consciousness is all the light being held at the moment. And all these people popping, and there's going to be people that you're like, oh, that person's they're never going to get it. And then they'll get it. And not only that, they'll be activated in such a way that they're just going to go boom. They're just going to have all the information because it is all connected to us. It's just a matter of when we set up to get it. So it'll be really beautiful to see. Yeah, really beautiful to see what happens next. And holding your heart space and holding your resonance and doing what you need to do for you to regulate yourself is the most important thing right now. We are being squeezed because the construct is getting smaller in order to push us up again, right? So as we get squeezed, then we go up and squeeze. So that push and that chaos, it's really pushing a lot of people in a different way. So, yeah. Norma, last words?
Have fun.
Yeah.
I'll say it every time. Have fun.
Yeah.
Get into the enjoyment of knowing ultimately who you are, what you are, to get back into that remembrance, to get back to the one that divided itself for us to be here to begin with. Have fun. It's beautiful.
Yes. And this is the only construct, as we were discussing last week, with free will. This is the first time they put free will into a construct. So the construct's basically gets an organic, and I want to say AI because it runs on its own, right? But it's not like the AI we're thinking of. It's very organic and it follows the rules of nature. That is its law. It's the law of nature. And as we go through this and have these different ones, this is the first one with free will. This is why things went so swung way the hell over here.
Yep.
And then it's
there's
gonna
beauty in
come
that.
back, it's coming back, it's coming back, and all that darkness is being put into the light, and then it's gonna
Yep.
swing over to the light because that's what it does.
And that's the beauty. I mean, it was, oh, I so just want everybody to know this is the beauty of it, is sitting here and having that deeper understanding of
Yeah.
the all of what this was, the purpose of what this was for. It's so profoundly beautiful. It really,
Yeah.
really is.
This has been quite a pendulum, Lee Mary. You're correct.
Mhm.
But you have to remember, and this is why it's being pulled back too. It's like you took it too far. There's a lot of souls that won't be going back to source. They're not welcome back because they took it too far. So just know things are being dealt with and we don't need to worry about it. We don't need to stress about that. Yeah. Good idea, 17Q. She's juicing lemons, turmeric, and ginger to make frozen cubes for future use. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm always doing something as well. I got to make some homemade toothpaste later on today after I get ready for a garage sale. So I'm selling stuff, guys. This means I'm going on a road trip. And I look forward to meeting lots of you in person. So we'll definitely keep you posted. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So sending you blessings today. You know where to find us. Reach out with any questions. We'll always answer. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we love you right where you're at.